Subscribe for more. Executive Order 14,219, Ensuring Lawful Governance and Implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency, Deregulatory Initiative, February 25, 2025. Section 1. Purpose. This executive order outlines the administration's goal of reducing federal overreach, focusing on regulations that align strictly with constitutional authority and federal statutes. The administration aims to minimize the administrative state by dismantling overreaching regulations, restore the constitutional separation of powers by limiting executive overreach, focus limited government resources on lawful and essential regulations. The initiative emphasizes scaling back excessive bureaucracy and inefficient regulations that hinder economic growth and national interests. Section 2. Rescinding unlawful regulations and those undermining the national interest. This section mandates a comprehensive review of existing regulations across all federal agencies to identify and rescind or modify regulations that conflict with constitutional authority or hinder national interests. 2. Categories of regulations to be reviewed and rescinded. Agencies, in coordination with the Director of the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, and their respective DOG team leads, must review regulations within 60 days and identify unconstitutional regulations, regulations that exceed federal authority or violate constitutional provisions, unlawful delegations of legislative power, rules that improperly shift legislative authority to executive agencies, regulations based on weak statutory foundations, rules not grounded in the clearest interpretation of underlying statutes, social, political, or economic rules, without clear statutory authority, policies on significant matters lacking explicit legal backing, cost-heavy regulations with limited public benefit, rules that impose high costs on private parties without delivering proportional public value, regulations hindering national interests, those that impede technological innovation, infrastructure development, disaster response, inflation reduction, energy production, research and development, foreign policy objectives, regulations, burdening small businesses and entrepreneurs, rules that obstruct private enterprise or hinder entrepreneurship. 2. Prioritizing significant regulations. Agencies must prioritize their review of regulations defined as significant regulatory actions under Executive Order 12.866, Regulatory Planning and Review, those that have an annual impact on the economy of $100 million or more, affect competition, employment, productivity, or innovation, raise significant legal or policy concerns. 2C. Reporting to OIRA. Within 60 days, agencies must submit a classified list of identified regulations to the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, OIRA, within the OMB, specifying which regulations fall into the categories defined in 2A. 2D. Unified Regulatory Agenda. The OIRA administrator will collaborate with agencies to develop a unified regulatory agenda focused on rescinding or modifying problematic regulations. Section 3. Enforcement discretion to ensure lawful governance. This section guides agencies on adjusting their enforcement strategies to prioritize lawful governance and efficient use of resources. 3. Deprioritizing enforcement of unlawful regulations. Agencies should deprioritize enforcement of regulations that go beyond constitutional limits, are based on misinterpretations of underlying statutes. 3B. Terminating non-compliant enforcement actions. Agencies must assess ongoing enforcement actions and determine if they align with constitutional authority, federal law, administration policy. Non-compliant actions should be terminated to conserve resources and ensure lawful enforcement. Section 4. Promulgation of new regulations. This section governs how agencies should approach the creation of new regulations. Agencies must follow the established regulatory process under Executive Order 12.866. Agency heads must consult with their DOG team leads, the OIRA administrator. New regulations must be evaluated using both existing criteria under Executive Order 12866. Additional factors from Section 2A of this Executive Order. Section 5. Implementation. The OMB Director will issue guidance to ensure consistent implementation of the order across all agencies. Section 6. Definitions. The order defines key terms to clarify its application. Agency, as defined in 44 U.S.C. 3502, excluding the executive office of the President. Agency head, the highest-ranking official within an agency, e.g., secretary, administrator, or director. DOGE team lead, leads the Department of Government Efficiency (DOGE) team within each agency, as established by Executive Order 14,158. Enforcement action, any attempt by an agency, civil or criminal, to impact a private party's life, liberty, or property. Regulation includes regulatory actions and guidance documents as defined in Executive Orders 12866 and 13422. Senior appointee, a presidentially appointed official or a non-career senior executive. Section 7. Exemptions. The following areas are exempt from this order: military, national security, homeland security, foreign affairs, and immigration functions. Internal executive branch personnel matters. Any additional exemptions granted by the OMB Director. Section 8. Severability Clause. If any part of this order is found invalid, the remaining sections will continue to apply. Overall summary. This executive order focuses on scaling back the administrative state and ensuring that federal regulations strictly align with constitutional authority and federal law. Through the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, Deregulatory Initiative, the order mandates reviewing and rescinding unlawful or burdensome regulations, deprioritizing enforcement of non-compliant rules, streamlining the rulemaking process to avoid unnecessary regulatory burdens, protecting small businesses and innovation from overregulation. The overarching goal is to increase governmental efficiency, reduce bureaucracy, and restore the constitutional separation of powers by limiting executive overreach and focusing on lawful governance. Subscribe for more!